Is there a place in time where logic breaks down and wonderment begins? Could that be somewhere at some time along an infinite line between the reasonable and the highly unlikely? Join us on a journey into the improbable.
Makeshift Stories presents Episode 315, Senescence Part 2, read by Kathleen Connolly. Opening and closing theme by Matthew Erdman. Somewhere and sometime, the truth might be hidden in the noise. If you haven't listened to Part 1, head back to Episode 314, released October 3rd, 2025.
Chomsky studied Surya across her desk. "I'm not convinced your presence is good for Mr. Danford." He's fixated on the static again. She picked a pen, rolled it between her fingers, then began clicking it open and closed. "I'll give you your laptop back. Mr. Danford can use it if that calms him down. But if he gets agitated, take it away or the orderly will. Understood?" "Understood," Surya agreed. Chomsky unlocked a drawer in her desk and froze. "It's gone," she said. "I don't know what happened to it." "Are you sure that's where you put it?" "Yes." "Let me see." Surya started to stand. "You don't believe me?" Chomsky challenged. There was a slight tremor to her voice. Her eyes darted to the door expectantly. Her finger stopped clicking the pen. "Ms. Flores, why would I lie? If I didn't want Mr. Danford using your laptop, I would simply tell you. Maybe you left it in another place. Let me help you look. There's only one drawer in this desk, and there's nowhere else to hide something. I don't like what you are insinuating." Chomsky glanced at the door again. The phone rang. "Hello?" She listened for a second. "And they're claiming to be Danford's distant relatives? His last listed family member died 2 years ago." Her voice rose, then she slammed the receiver down. "Your laptop's gone. Leave your contact information at the front desk. We'll replace it if it doesn't turn up. You've done enough damage, Miss Flores. Please show yourself out." Chomsky pulled a file from a stack on her desk and swept out of the office. Surya waited until Chomsky's footsteps had faded, then got up and began to search for her laptop. When the shelves bore nothing, she turned to the administrator's desk and tried the only drawer. It was empty, just pens and paper clips. She slumped into a chair. There was a faint scent of Dior Sauvage. Her pulse raced. She bolted for the door, glanced both ways, and hurried to get Danford. She stopped at the first intersection. Voices, intense and clipped, drifted around the corner. She eased forward until she could see Chomsky arguing with a man and a woman in dark gray business attire with distinct southern drawls. These were Danford's relatives? She caught fragments of conversation. Her name, Danford, and transfer. Beyond them, through the glass front doors, a black SUV idled. There was a man in a blue bomber jacket leaning against it, smoking, watching the argument at the reception desk. His eyes swept the lobby. Had he seen her? Surya jerked back, pulse racing. She needed to reach Danford. Now. Surya hid around the corner from Danford's room and risked a glance. The orderly still stood outside his door. The voices at the front, barely audible, abruptly stopped. There was a limited amount of time. She was about to confront the man when she spotted a mail slot labeled Incident Reports. A folded paper jutted out. She snatched it, squared her shoulders, and marched around the corner with a confidence she didn't feel. "Dr. Chomsky wants you at the front desk. I'll make sure Mr. Danford is okay." "Me?" The big man frowned, looking uncertain. "It's about Danford. 2 people are there claiming to be his relatives. She needs this." Surya pressed the folded papers into his hand. "Hurry! I don't think she believes them, and they're insisting on taking him." He looked at the papers, nodded, and hurried off. The moment he turned the corner, Surya slipped into the room. Danford sat where she had left him, staring at his reflection in the window. "Mark!" "We've got to go." "I'm waiting for the computer. There's something at 46.754 megahertz I need to check. They need to look at that. Mark, they're coming for you, she said, gripping his arm. How long would it take the orderly to return? 4 or 5 minutes at most? Surya pulled him up, his frail arm surprisingly strong, resisted her. Where are we going? He asked. To get you a computer, she explained, patting her pocket to be sure the thumb drive was still there. As she pushed Danford into the hall, footsteps pounded closer. Come on, she encouraged, turning Danford in the opposite direction. They turned the next corner. Shouts echoed in hot pursuit. Desperate, Surya spotted a staff-only sign and shoved Danford through. They stumbled into a break room, mercifully empty. Footsteps rushed by outside, one person stopping at the door. In here! She pushed Danford into a tiny pantry. But the signal? He protested. We'll deal with the signal later. But you need to be quiet, or they'll stop you, she whispered. The break room door creaked open. Danford inhaled to speak, but she clamped a hand over his mouth. No one in here. The orderly called. The door shut. Surya exhaled shakily, adrenaline surging. She had no plan. We need to move, she whispered. Her brain raced. Maybe the trees behind the building would give them cover. They don't want anyone to know, Danford muttered. They made me encrypt the data. Surya took his hand and pulled. We're not going to let them stop you, she said. But you've got to move. He gave in and allowed himself to be dragged into the hall. How do we get to the back of the building? Surya asked. He tugged her toward a small, dim hall. I know the way, he mumbled before descending into incoherence. Motion sensors flicked on anemic lights as they ran. The corridor ended abruptly at a metal door marked Alarmed. Surya and Danford skidded to a stop. They must have doubled back, a woman behind them yelled, voice echoing down the hall. Quick! Down here! The emergency exit is the only other way out, another voice added. They had no choice. Surya slammed the open bar, and an alarm shrieked as they burst into sunlight, finding themselves in a parking lot. The trees! Surya cursed. They're too far. We'll never make it. Desperate, Surya's eyes darted around until she spotted a medical transport idling nearby, doors yawning open like it had been waiting for them. She hauled Danford inside, jumped in after, and slammed the door. Go! She ordered the autopilot. Patient ID and destination, the vehicle intoned, voice crisp and emotionless. The orderly burst out first, the suited couple close behind. The bright sun hit them full on. Blinking, hands shading eyes, they scanned the parking lot. The woman pointed at the meditransport. All three began to run. Critical emergency, Central Hospital, Surya barked. The system hesitated. The closest emergency ward is Grace Hospital. Go! Surya yelled. The siren wailed. The transport lurched forward. In the side mirror, the black SUV fishtailed around the corner of the building, doors flinging open. 4 figures piled in, and it roared after them. They've spotted us. Kill the lights and siren. Emergency canceled, the autopilot replied and slowed down. Ahead, the traffic light flicked red. No, keep going. He's having a heart attack. The siren screamed again and cars parted, letting them through. I'm not having a heart. You are. Surya cut him off. The transfer vehicle accelerated through the intersection, horn blaring. Behind the SUV madly weaved through the startled traffic, angry honks and flashing lights in its wake. We're too conspicuous, Surya cursed. Oblivious, Danford stared out the glass, lost in another world. 46.754 megahertz. It's modulated. Should have seen it years ago. Why? Impossibly, the SUV was suddenly beside them, swerving to cut them off. The transport evaded. Surya grabbed the wheel instinctively, but the autopilot fought for control. Then at the next intersection, she yelled, "Left!" The vehicle screamed across 3 lanes of oncoming traffic into a side street. Their pursuers overshot, boxed in by a lumbering cargo van. The SUV's brakes squealed. The big ungainly machine skidded sideways, threatening to roll, then vanished behind a bus. Luck had given them a small window. "Cancel emergency! Patient stable!" Surya shouted at the system. "In cases of suspected cardiac events, protocol requires hospital transport," the autopilot informed them. "Tell it you're fine, Mark." He blinked, finally hearing her. "I just need a few minutes to confirm." "Mark, tell it you don't need the hospital." "Hospital? No, I need a computer, not a hospital." Surya scanned the mirrors. No sign of the SUV, but any minute. The Medi-Transport pulsed its lights before easing to a stop behind a line of cars waiting at a traffic light. She jerked the door open, then yanked Danford out. "Passenger exit is not advised," the autopilot complained. She slammed the door and ducked behind a pickup truck parked at a strip mall. The transport hesitated, deciding what to do, before slowly rolling away and merging back into traffic. A second later, the SUV tore past, roaring. When both were gone, she straightened and flagged a nearby autocab. "Where to?" the cab asked after they had settled into the back seat. "Wait here," Surya instructed, voice shaking. "Charges will be applied." "Fine, we'll pay, just don't move until I say." A series of polite beeps confirmed the fare had started. Surya turned to Danford. "Are you sure about the radiation?" "I need the data set and a computer to confirm the growth curve." Surya touched the thumb drive in her pocket. "We're going to the central library," she informed the cab. She didn't know the city, but a library would have public terminals, and maybe they wouldn't think to look there. The Central Library, a dull, modernist mass of gray concrete brightened by a glass extension, was in the city core. The autocab eased to the curb. Surya nervously scanned the street for the SUV before helping Danford out and hurrying him inside. A bored security guard pointed them to a second-floor mezzanine where public terminals lined the railing above a cavernous glass atrium. The overhead light was sterile, too bright and buzzed faintly. Surya chose a terminal at the far end with good sightlines to both elevators and stairs. She glanced around, slid the thumb drive into a port, and settled Danford in front of the screen before moving back to stand guard near the stacks. As Danford's fingers danced over the keyboard, Surya wondered how she'd ended up there. She was on the run with a man whose mind was a mistuned radio, drifting between brilliance and static. Could she trust him? If he was delusional, why was she being followed? The sensible thing was to walk away, catch her flight, and let someone else deal with him. But she didn't move.
Suddenly, Danford gasped. Exponential! Damn steep curve, too.
A group of students reading at a nearby table looked up and glared. Surya moved behind him.
"Shh," she whispered.
"You're disturbing the other visitors. We don't want to draw attention to ourselves." He pointed to the screen, which displayed a graph of energy bursts, each spike higher and further apart. Tracing the same rhythm, there was a second flat fuzzy line.
"What does that mean?" Surya quietly asked.
"If the pattern holds, the next radiation burst would sterilize everything," Danford whispered. "But look, 46.754 megahertz. It's modulated. I knew it."
He went back to work, ignoring everything but the screen, muttering,
"Reed Solomon encoding, an old error correction scheme from the 60s. We used it in the telemetry. Why would it show up buried in the noise at that frequency? Maybe it's a message."
"Mark, please, focus. Are you saying the next wave could kill us?"
"Yes!"
he snapped, fingers dancing across the keyboard. Could it really be true? Or was she just indulging a delusion? Movement caught Surya's eye. Down in the atrium, the suited couple and the orderly were questioning the security guard. He pointed upward. She ducked below the railing. Come on, Mark, we've got to go. No, there's a message, I'm sure of it. I just need more time. That's something we don't have. Surya risked another glance. The woman and the orderly were charging up the stairs 2 steps at a time. By the elevators, the bomber jacket man waited, phone in hand. Behind the stacks, an emergency exit sign glowed red. It was their ticket out if they could reach it. Mark, get up, now! She yanked his arm. For an older senior, he was surprisingly strong. Danford wrenched free. Mark, they're going to take you away. You won't be able to run the computer.
I only need a few minutes, he protested.
Over there! It's them!
The shout froze the mezzanine. Heads turned as the woman and the orderly sprinted across the carpet toward the terminals. Surya half-dragged Danford toward the stacks, but it was too late. They were already surrounded.
Stop! The woman ordered. You're hurting my great-uncle. Who are you? Danford stared at the woman. Do I know you?
Of course you do, Uncle Mark. I'm your sister's granddaughter. I don't have a sister, Danford insisted. It's his dementia, she dismissed lightly. Half the time he doesn't know where he is. Surya stepped between them. He's fine. Just let him finish. She stopped herself from blurting, confirming the world's ending. Then she saw it. A thin wire running from a flesh-toned earbud into the woman's collar. Convincing you he's found meaning in cosmic static, Ms. Flores? The woman smiled sarcastically. It isn't the first time and won't be the last. He lives in an imaginary world. How do you know my name? Surya demanded. Jake from the center is here to take you home, Mr. Danford, she said, still ignoring Surya. The orderly gripped his arm. Danford didn't resist. Come along, sir. Let's get you home. Surya opened her mouth to protest, but as they passed, Danford winked and pressed something small into her palm. She tucked the object in her pocket and faced the woman. You have no right to take him. Let him go. The woman with the earbud reached into her bag and produced a letter. Here, read it. Surya scanned the paper. A letter of guardianship? Easy enough to fake.
We could press charges. Abduction, at minimum. Best to let sleeping dogs lie, Miss Flores. John, wipe the files Uncle left. We don't want him starting another online conspiracy.
Before Surya could react, the man, also wearing an earbud, slid into the seat. His fingers moved fast, graphs vanished, windows blinked shut. The screen went blank. Done, he confirmed. If you're wise, Ms. Flores, you'll stay away from the care center. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. With that, the two turned and left. Surya deflated into the chair, heart still pounding. Go after them? Call the police? Who would believe her? She felt for the lump in her pocket. The thumb drive was still there. Danford had pulled it free before they erased everything. Surya hurried through the sliding glass doors of the airport. Behind her, a black SUV ghosted past the curb. Only once she'd cleared security and found a seat near her gate did she breathe and risk calling the care center. Hello, I want to talk to Dr. Chomsky. Hold, please. Muzak filled the line. Then clicks, keyboard sounds, a new voice, flat and professional. Dr. Chomsky doesn't work here. Can I talk to Mark Danford then? He's one of your residents. She heard more typing, a few pauses, then silence. I'm sorry there's no Mark Danford listed. But, click, dial tone. Dusk settled. A street lamp outside Surya's window buzzed on, its glow fractured by the tree branches. Beyond, the neighborhood sank into murky, cold shadows. She reached for the curtains, then left them open. Better to see what was outside. Her workstation beeped to life and the monitor flickered on. She mounted the thumb drive and made 3 backups: internal, cloud, and external. When the progress bar reached the end, she checked the folder. 4 files, 2 new. Her pulse quickened as she opened the first new file. Its timestamp was less than a day old. Author, Public Library Terminal 042. Her stomach dropped. Graphs, equations, and fragments of Danford's notes filled the screen. One featured a steep curve climbing toward infinity.
It all boils down to the file's provenance, she cursed. And what did she have?
2 mystery files on a garage sale relic, a 30-year archival gap. Anyone could have planted them, but she wasn't convinced. She opened the second file, named Decoded Payload. More math, more symbols. A note to one side read, "Structured content consistent with an engineered signal." And below it, Danford had written,
Not extinction. An adaptation? Radiation acts as a catalyst, slowing the accumulation of senescent cells, extending life. A gift from... The sentence ended there.
She didn't have the tools or the math to challenge Danford's decoding.
Someone else needs to see this, she whispered, and made a snap decision.
She bundled everything, files, Danford's notes, her own records on the Sun workstation, into an encrypted archive and began uploading it to her public profile. Then she recorded a message. These files may be real or not. Preserve them. Pass them on. Verify the results. Tell the world. She scheduled it to publish automatically if she didn't cancel it. A sort of simple dead man switch. She powered the terminal down. Its screen faded to black, leaving her reflection staring back. Outside, headlights swept across her window. A dark car idled. 2 silhouettes emerged and moved toward the porch. Surya jolted the computer awake and set the post to publish immediately. There was a sharp knock. Silence. Then the door rattled.
If you enjoyed this story, please share it with your friends or leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps new listeners find us and keeps the podcast going. I'd like to give a shout out to Matthew for his generous support this month. If you'd like to connect with us, please email makeshiftstories@gmail.com or visit our website at makeshiftstories.com. Makeshift Stories is released in the first week of each month. This month's story was written by Vern Hume, aka Alan V. Hare, and read by Kathleen Connolly. Opening and closing themes were composed and recorded by Matthew Erdman. Audio production and editing by Vacata Studios. Makeshift Stories is released under a Creative Commons non-commercial, attribution, no derivative license